horrified to discover grayish-white substance on his late brother's belongings. His brother who died in an accident. Could this be related to his brother's death? Jack immediately places the grayish-white substance under a microscope for examination. To his greater horror, the substance appears to come alive, writhing under the microscope. Jack is so shocked he doesn't notice that the grayish-white substance is attracting nearby plants. By the time Jack realizes what's happening, it's too late. The grayish-white substance has transformed into a plant and begins growing wildly. In mere moments, it develops into massive vines that try to leave the room, dragging Jack toward the door. But since the door is closed and they can't escape, the vines instead head for the room's drain. However, as Jack pulls hard on the vines, they eventually retract. Strangely, after retracting, the vines disappear. Just as Jack wonders where they've gone, a shocking transformation occurs. His left arm suddenly becomes covered with red filaments that won't come off. He quickly disinfects his arm. Exhausted from the ordeal, Jack falls asleep, but something wakes him from his sleep. He opens his eyes to see a red tentacle breaking through the bandages. Realizing something is wrong, Jack panics and tears off the bandages, only to discover several tentacles have grown from his arm. Disgusted, Jack uses tweezers to grab a tentacle and pull. This causes a large bulge to form on his arm. Apparently, he himself is the tentacle's host. Jack steels himself, takes scissors, and cuts open his skin. Inside is indeed an unidentified object. Terrified, Jack hurriedly uses tools to extract it. The object resembles a plant fruit, but even as a botanist, Jack doesn't recognize its origin. He quickly photographs the fruit and sends it to his biologist colleague. His colleague soon responds. Through analysis, she discovers the fruit isn't a plant at all, but some kind of carnivorous animal. Jack is astonished. Could this be what ate his brother? But how could something so small swallow a person? He decides to buy some mice slightly larger than the fruit for experimentation. However, when Jack returns, he finds his neighbor has taken his parking spot. He asks the neighbor to move, but the neighbor tells him to wait. Eager to conduct his experiment and angry, Jack grabs a shovel and smashes his neighbor's car windows to pieces. As Jack prepares for a second strike, the guilty neighbor quickly promises to move immediately. Only then does Jack stop and properly park his car. Jack rushes to the fruit in his basement. Unknown to him, the neighbor now harbors a grudge over this incident. Jack holds a frozen mouse above the fruit, wanting to see how it feeds. But after a long wait, the fruit shows no reaction. Just as Jack thinks the experiment has failed, the fruit slowly opens, revealing sharp teeth inside. It then actively strikes, swallowing the mouse in one bite. Within seconds, the fruit completely digests the mouse and grows noticeably larger. Perhaps his brother's death really was caused by this fruit. Jack decides to find larger food for the fruit to consume, but fearing it might undergo uncontrollable changes in his absence, he carefully places it in the freezer to reduce its activity. After completing this, Jack leaves the house. On his way out, he runs into his son coming home. He urgently warns his son never to go into the basement. His son agrees, and thinking everything is secure, Jack leaves reassured. However, this scene is witnessed by the neighbor nearby. The vengeful neighbor realizes there must be something important to Jack in the basement. He immediately decides to go in and cause damage. Soon, the neighbor arrives at the freezer and discovers a terrifying sight.